Good morning to Wikipedia YouTube viewers. Today we are going to see about selection sort algorithm, implementation of selection sort algorithm using C program. Before going to the selection sort algorithms implementation, so I will just tell you about the basic logic of selection sort. Selection sort is a type of a comparison algorithm. So it will try to sort your data either in ascending order or descending order. So how it works? It will searches. It will do it with the help of a comparison. So it will take a particular element called it as a I, and it will try to compare it with the remaining list of elements. In this remaining list of element, it will try to find out which are element is minimum. That minimum element will be swapped with that ith position element, and once it has been done, it will try to repeat it for the several list of elements, unsorted elements, and try to fix it and move it the smallest element towards its left side position. So selections or algorithm, on each pass it will try to find out the first minimum element and then move it to the extreme left position. In first pass it will try to find the first minimum element and move it to the first extreme left position. In the second pass it will try to find out the second smallest element and move it to the second left extreme position, and like that it goes on. So this is the working concept of your selections or algorithm. Now we will try to go with the implementation part, right? So I'm going to write a selections or program with the help of a C program. With the help of a C program. So first, what are the things we needed? We will start with the main program. So int main, within the main function, what are the basic thing I needed? The number of input elements I have to have it, that is my size of array. So I'm going to declare a variable called n. Then I'm going to enter the elements, size of my elements, that is like enter size. How many element I'm going to get it in an array, how many element I need to sort it, that thing I'm going to get it with the help of a scanf statement. So my input size I have declared as a variable called n, that is an integer variable. So you should use a scanf statement along with format specifier percentage %d. So you have to every time whenever you get an input, you should permanently allocate a memory. For memory allocation, you should use address operator, then name of a variable where you are going to store that particular value. Now after getting the input, I need to have a collection of elements. For that I need to have an array. So I'm going to declare an array of integers, int a. So that array has to go hold a number of values of n number of values. So I'm going to say it like int a of n. Now I'm going to get the elements of my array. So I'm going to say it like printf slash n, enter array elements. So array elements I have entered it. Then after entering it, I need to entering into a for loop. We using a for loop, I'm going to store all my values. So if you are going to store your array in elements, then the first position will be at I equal to 0. The last position will be like 1 lesser than your size, that is like I less than n, I plus plus, right? So for int I equal to 0, I less than n, I less than n, I plus plus, right? So within this thing, I'm going to get my loop array element. So array element, I'm going to get it with the help of a scanf statement. My array elements are going to be integer element, so I'm going to declare it as percentage %d address operator. Then I'm going to store that array in that element. I'm going to store that in ith index position. So this is about how to get the input for your array. Then after getting the input, I need to see my unsorted array or list of element. So I'm going to write it a prompt message unsorted array elements, unsorted array elements, I'm going to print it. So for that printing the unsorted array, I'm going to call a function called print array function. So which is a user defined function. I'm going to define it later. So with that, I am going to pass two parameter, my entire array input a and the number of elements in that array n. Now after that, I'm going to sort it. So sort it and then I'm going to print it. Again, for sorting it, I'm going to call a function called selection sort. Selection sort accept two parameters. One is your input array A and the number of elements in that array. And the number of elements in that array. Now after that, print your sorted array result. So using a function called print array user divide function, I'm going to define it later. Now the main function is over. So we will try to write a code for it. First, we will try to write a code for printing your array element. Void print array. So which accept two parameters, your input array and then number of input elements n. For printing array element one by one, we will be using a for loop. Array element start with I equal to 0. The last position will be your I less than n position. That is like n minus 1 position, I plus plus. Just to increment your position from 0 to until your last element. So I'm within the printf statement. I'm going to print it. My elements, I'm going to print it as an integer percentage d from the array A. Each element will be accessed through an ith index position. That's it. So this is for printing your array element. Now we are going to implement the selection sort algorithm. Void selection sort, which accept two inputs, your input array and the number of input elements, size of your array, that is called as a n. So here every time we are going to assume some particular minimum value. Now I'm going to iterate it for several variables starting with I equal to 0, I less than n minus 1, I plus plus. Right. Now every time I'm going to take my ith position value, then I'm going to assume it that element at ith position value is my minimum element. Now I'm going to find the actual element, actual minimum element. So min equal to I, which says that assuming element at I is minimum. I is minimum. So now within the for loop, we are going to find the actual minimum element. So if I'm going to say I equal to 0, then the remaining list of elements start from I equal to j equal to I plus 1. So j will be iterating until the last element j less than n, j plus plus. Now within this thing, we are going to find the minimum element. How to find the minimum element? We are going to check with the condition. If a of j element is lesser than the a of element at min position, a of min, then definitely we can say that the minimum element is going to be at jth position. The minimum element is definitely going to be at jth position. Now we are updating the position of min element. So where is that minimum element? That is getting updated here. That is getting updated here. Right. Now after end of this for loop, we have to swap element at ith position comma min position. So we have to write a swapping code. For swapping, we can use either swapping using third variable or swapping without using third variable. I'm going to swap it using third variable. Let's say that int t stands for temporary. In the temporary, I'm going to copy my a of ith value. Then to that the a of ith position value, I'm going to store my value at minimum position. Now the value at minimum position, again I'm going to swap it with the value stored in a temporary. So this we call it as a selection sort algorithm. So how the selection sort algorithm works? You will take particular ith position value, assume that ith position value as a minimum, try to find out the minimum actual minimum element in the remaining list of unsorted element. Unsorted elements start from I plus 1 position to n for each ith position. Right. Once you have found out the minimum value, position of the minimum value, swap it with your ith position value. This is about your selection sort algorithm. Now we will try to run our algorithm. Let me see. Let me check with your output. So here it should be declared as for int I equal to 0, for int j equal to 0. It says that both I and j are undeclared. Similarly, here also you have to say it as declared variable. Now I'm going to enter the size as 5, enter array elements 23, 34, 45, 2 and 6. So 5 elements, enter array element 23, 34, 45, 2 and 6. Now let me check with the result. Unsorted array 23, 34, 45, 2 and 6. So if you try to sort it, it will become 2, 6, 23, 34 and 45. Got it? So that's it. Thank you all. So I hope you have understand the concept of selection.